primarily interested in the figure of the peasant and how that relates to histories of art and also wider histories. A part of that is looking at these histories of representing the peasant and also the kind of materials that might be used that might connect to a certain landscape. And as a result, I use a lot of plant pigments. So I make pigments from plants for painting. I came primarily from a painting background. And then I've also started to use these plant dyes to make patterned fabrics with dyeing and printing. Actually, if you go to what paint was before you could buy it in tubes, then I think there was always much more of a connection to the materials, where they come from and how that might be part of the meanings created in a painting. So I also wanted to connect painting again to its materiality of where it comes from. I've made all these works in response to my sort of last summer's research trip to Seinäjoki. And also to this space. Partly it has all the historical connections to the Östermyra gård, the farm with the ironworks, which is iron is also used to make black in combination with logwood. But it's also a very beautiful space with all this sort of wood and these beams. So I wanted to create fabric kind of artworks that would make use of the structure and the high ceiling and hang down. And it may be almost reminiscent of sails. Seinäjoki is nowhere near the sea, but somehow because these plants came from far away over the sea, it's somehow relevant to the show, and that's why there's also ropes and these kind of big sail-like fabrics hanging down. So when I came to Seinäjoki, I came with an open mind, all the time thinking through this framework of the idea, the figure of the peasant and what that might mean here. And I was thinking of looking out for the kind of colors that might be very specific to this area. And actually what stuck out for me was this blue and black of the Körti, and obviously which then subsequently became part of the Lapua movement and so forth. And seeing that in these open-air museums, there were often sort of figures of peasants dressed in the kind of regional costume of bright colors, but also often lots of representations of these Körti peasants who dyed their clothes black and felt that the kind of bright red colors were somehow a bit sinful and that one shouldn't be showing off and one should be more modest. But then actually, as I researched it, the irony is that this black color comes from logwood, which comes from Yucatan in Mexico. And the blue, of course, would be indigo, which in that period would mostly be coming from British-ruled India. So from being something so kind of regional, it actually has this really international connection and kind of reveals how we've been living in a kind of globalized society with an interconnected planet for a very long time. And it's not just a recent thing. I absolutely cannot have a favorite color. And that's because I suppose color never makes sense on its own. Color is always in combination with something else, another color. So actually this exhibition was quite a challenge because I decided kind of focus on black and blue colors. But anyway, the red was creeping in because that was the color that was kind of covered over by the black dye of the Körtis. So somehow it also belonged in here. So yeah, this was kind of me making a big effort to keep a rein in. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm very boring on that front. It's impossible. They're kind of like children. You can't have a favorite.